Hi, my name is Mark Wiggins, and I want to introduce myself, and I want to introduce my YouTube channel. And my the name of my channel is called WBMA, which stands for What Burns My Ass. And basically, it's my channel is going to be a discussion about politics and social issues that affect everybody and Americans and people all around the world in their everyday lives. Um, so what burns my ass about our country, and actually I think it happens all around the world, is if you're in any camp of any political party or any political politician, you're not able to have a social discourse with other people nowadays without there being a contentious, aggressive um, uh, argument. And I think full grown adults should be able to have discussions about any topic without being confrontational. I think you should be able to disagree without shutting down and not willing and an unwillingness to hear the other people's point of view. Whether you agree with them or not is irrelevant. You should be able to just have that type of discussion with other people. And unfortunately, we're not able to do that. I think many adults are just basically full grown adults. Some people, they shut down because they just don't care about politics, which, okay, that's fine. And there's the people that have already made up their mind that either Joe Biden is the best president that we've ever had or Donald Trump is some kind of god. And I'm probably going to lose listeners saying all this stuff because I'm the type of person that I don't particularly care for either one of them. I don't think either one of them should be president. So I'm pretty sure in probably the next few minutes, the Donald Trumpers will drop off, and so will the people that think that Joe Biden is just awesome. But I'm going to talk about what I don't like about either one of them and why I don't feel either one of them should actually be president. The first one I'm going to deal with is Joe Biden because he's the president now. Um, And one of the I'm going to discuss some of the things why I'm going to discuss the things why I don't think he should be president. Here's one of the first one is that he's allowed 8 million unvetted immigrants into our country. And he misused the laws to do that, the immigration laws and the asylum laws, in order to do that. And again, so he broke the law, and he has irreparably changed our country for the next decade or so or more. Okay, and if you don't think that 8 million uh, immigrants from different countries are going to change our culture, all you got to do is look at Germany. Germany, like 5 years ago, had a huge Syrian crisis, and Angela Merkel, the president at the time, had allowed over 1 million people into Germany in less than a year, like 980,000 people. And it turned out to be a disaster. Matter of fact, inside of a year, um, Angela basically came out and admitted that it was a mistake, because there's a huge social difference between Germans and Syrians, and they weren't necessarily integrating very seamlessly. Okay, and so that created a lot of issues inside of Germany. So, um, and if you don't, I mean, it basically, honestly, it changed the German culture, and it changed Germany. It has changed Germany for a long time, and I also think that that's what's going to end up happening in this country. I know that a lot of people who are pro open border, let anybody come across the border, are going to disagree with me. But if you don't think that letting 8 states of 8 million people, which is basically 8 Nebraskas, into our country isn't going to affect our society, you're out of your mind. Matter of fact, if you haven't seen New York City and you haven't seen Chicago and you haven't seen the news stories about the attacks on police, the gang violence, this is just the tip of the iceberg because it's only going to snowball from here. Now, that's not racist and that's not xenophobic. Those are just facts. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Joe Biden. Now, one of my other big problems with Joe Biden is the fact that he decreased the oil production in our country dramatically, which caused a huge issue with the American people because obviously gas prices and oil has gone through the roof. And that's also due to two reasons because the Nord Stream pipeline somehow mysteriously was blown up. Some people say that it was, an accident, but I think most people pretty much know that somebody intentionally blew it up. And in that same year, in the first year of Joe Biden's presidency, he actually called the Saudi prince a pariah. So after a year or so of these high gas prices and the fact that Joe Biden had tapped into our strategic oil reserve, which is supposed to be meant mainly for just emergency situations and wartime situations, Joe Biden broke into it anyways because he was looking bad. I mean, it was affecting Americans so badly. And even though he opened the pipeline, the amount that it changed gas was minuscule. So to me, it was kind of a waste. I don't think it really helped at all. And actually, it's put our country a little bit in jeopardy because if we do end up going to war against China and Taiwan, or against Russia and Ukraine for whatever reason, somehow if we get drawn into those conflicts, or let's say Iran pulls another terrorist attack and we have to go to war against them, now we've depleted our oil reserves. So I don't think that was a smart idea on Joe Biden's part at all. Um, Another huge problem I had with Joe Biden was Afghanistan. He withdrew out of Afghanistan in the middle of the night. Um, he didn't really give our allies much of a warning that that was going to happen, and it happened so fast and in such a disjointed way that American soldiers lost their lives, and so did the Afghanis that were supporting our troop with intelligence over the years that we were occupying their country. And I think Joe Biden should be held accountable for those deaths because it was just mismanaged. And people are going to say, "Well, Donald Trump was the one that negotiated the withdrawal." Yeah, but you don't know that he would have handled it the same way. So you can try to blame, because most people blame almost everything that's going on in this country on Trump. And again, that's not a defense of Trump. It's just what people do. A lot of people do in this country. But you cannot blame Donald Trump for the bad withdrawal that Joe Biden initiated. It was done fast. It wasn't well organized. It should have been done in a completely different method. Okay. Another problem with me that I have with Joe Biden is also that if you don't believe that the Hunter Biden laptop has any validity to it, I think you're a tad naive. Now, whether this turns into an impeachment or not, I can't say. But from the evidence that I've seen, unless it's fabricated evidence, you got to be kind of foolish or gullible not to believe that the 10% for the big guy, which Hunter Biden wrote in several of his messages on his laptop that was found. Also, he was paying his father $52,000 a month to rent his mansion that was already paid for. There's a bunch of shill companies, which if you're doing business in the up and up, you don't really have to do if your business is a legitimate business. So if any of that doesn't look fishy to you, I think you're naive. Also, let's say that you don't think that Joe Biden did any of this stuff. Even if the impeachment doesn't go through, I think the Department of Justice should look into this. And even if you're pro Joe Biden, you should want Joe Biden to be proven innocent of these charges, one way or the other. I think you'd want to find out if he was influenced by these dealings, because I mean there's GPS locations on both Joe Biden and Hunter where they were together in China when some of these deals were negotiated. There's also the one Dex that they found on his WhatsApp discussing how he was blackmailing the head of the CCP because his father was right behind him, and they would regret not paying him. And if that doesn't sound fishy, I don't know what. Because and let me ask you this: if Joe Biden brought Hunter to China on Air Force Two, they didn't discuss any reason why Hunter was coming along with him. You can't be that naive. They're father and son. So, no, does this mean that Joe Biden did do anything wrong? No. That still needs to be proven. So I'm not, but you have to admit it's fishy. And I personally, whether I was for Joe Biden or not Joe Biden, would want to know one way or the other whether or not he was guilty of anything that that he's being accused of or that's been implied. Okay. Also, um, okay. So let's move on to Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump has a lot of his own scandals. One of them just alone was Trump University, which basically, to me, comes across as similar to those Amway scams. It's like a pyramid system, where you start selling their stuff, and then you get your friends to sell their stuff, and you get commissions off of their, and so on and so forth. And is it right? No, it's crappy. Should he be held accountable? Yes, and he did. He actually got sued. He had to pay money. He did have to pay compensation. That he paid through the court. So did he get away with it? No. Do I think it makes him wrong? Yes. Yes. That was a foul thing to have to do. Okay. Another thing that Trump did that really bothers me is January 6th. Now, do I think Donald Trump incited an insurrection? No, definitely do not. No. Only 150 people were involved, roughly, in that, what you people want to call an insurrection. And if you look at the footage of that Tucker Carlson had released, um, other than when they first broke in and they broke into that was the small amount of violence that had occurred, and also when they were pushing their way into Congress, not Angela, what's her name? I can't think of her name. She was shot by one of the security guards, and you know that shouldn't have happened because she was unarmed. So actually, if anything, anybody was in the wrong in that scenario, it was the security guard, because she was shot with no weapon. Do I think he should be able to charge? No, because he possibly was fearing for his life. So I don't necessarily say that he should be charged with anything, but what bothers me about Donald Trump on January 6th isn't the insurrection itself. What bothers me was, because Donald Trump did say before all this things went down that we're going to march down to the Capitol and peacefully and patriotic let our voices be heard. Okay, and of course you'll never see MSDNC ever tell you that or show you that clip from his speech prior to this whole meltdown. But where my problem on January 6th with Donald Trump is from 1:25 to 4:03 p.m. Donald Trump sat there and watched the TV and watched these people in the Capitol and the conflicts that had occurred and did nothing for that entire time. And that to me alone just says, and I personally think that he did it because they were there to support him and it was floating his ego. He's that type of person. And geez, if you're supporting me, you can do whatever you want. I mean, I kind of pick up on that's I think sometimes I think that's the way he feels. He comes across that way to me. I may be wrong, but that's the impression I get from him. Also, by the way, there, there's other things as well. For example, the document scandal. Now, here's the thing: both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have a document scandal, and of course, this bullshit about the prosecutor that came out and said that, oh well, he was too old to be prosecuted. But then he came out and everybody supported him. Oh no, his brain's intact. He's perfectly coherent. Well, then fine. If he's coherent, let him stand trial because he basically broke the law. But here's the thing: you can't go after Donald Trump just because he held on to him longer. He didn't cooperate as well with the investigators as Joe Biden. So that doesn't make him any more or less guilty than what Joe Biden did. Okay. And here's the thing: his son was influencing foreign countries and staying in the house where those documents were kept in a garage by his Corvette. And if that doesn't raise red flags, I'm not sure exactly what will with you. But also, so honestly, I think that both, if they're going to hold Donald Trump accountable, they need to hold Joe Biden accountable. They need to hold Hillary Clinton accountable. They need to hold Mike Pence accountable, and they need to hold Barack Obama accountable because they all had documents. So in my mind, either they all need to be prosecuted or it needs to be dropped, and well-established new laws need to be set when it comes to the keeping of confidential records by any politician, including the president, vice president, and anybody involved in the federal government. And those guidelines seem to be very well established, no gray areas, and they need to be enforced. And that problem will be solved. So, anyways, these are the few reasons why I don't think Joe Biden there's also I almost forgot another thing that Joe Biden did, because Donald Trump did this as well. These are two things that they both did. Donald Trump basically blackmailed the president of Ukraine for dirt on Hillary Clinton just before the election, which was stupid on Donald Trump's part because he was way ahead anyways. But Donald Trump's the type of guy that unless he can seal the deal 100% and feel 100% confident that he's going to win, he's going to do those extra steps, even if they're unnecessary, to guarantee he'll win. And I think that's kind of a mindset that he has as well. But you also got to help Joe Biden accountable, because I don't care what the Democrats say. If you watch the video of Joe Biden, and I can put a link to it in the description of this video, Joe Biden fired an investigator who was basically investigating Burisma and Hunter. Okay. And then, if you watch the video, he said as vice president that he was going to withhold over $1 billion to Ukraine unless they fired that investigator. And then what did Joe Biden say? Son of a bitch. An hour later, he was fired. And that's basically the same thing Donald Trump did. So again, if you're going to hold Donald Trump accountable for that, you should hold Joe Biden accountable for that. And so these are the things that burn my ass, because whether you're for one or the other, you should be balanced. Whether you're pro-Democrat or pro-Republican, pro-Joe Biden or pro-Donald Trump, your opinion should be balanced. It shouldn't be, oh, my guy should be given a break, or that's just not the way it should work. The law is the law. The right is right. Wrong is wrong. And the law should be administered equally to everybody, not just the politician that you do or do not like. Okay? So that's what burns my ass, because, everybody in this country should want to know the truth about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. They should know these facts. They should know these things that went on, and they should vote accordingly. Unfortunately, too, I think it bothers me. What burns my ass is people think that you have to vote for somebody. In the last election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I voted for Snoopy. That's because I was raised in the 80s and in the 70s and 80s, and they used to have Dolly Madison cakes. They were zingers and ding dongs. They sold. They made these snack cakes similar to like Hostess. And every 4 years, when I was a kid, they would run Snoopy for president, and they'd have Woodstock following in with a banner, Snoopy for president. So I didn't like Donald Trump, and I didn't like Joe Biden in the last election, so I voted for Snoopy. But I just can't vote for somebody I don't believe in. I don't believe in Joe Biden, and I don't believe in Donald Trump. The last president that I voted for that I did believe in was Barack Obama. I don't think he was a bad president, but I wasn't thrilled with the way his president ended and some of the things that he did during his presidency. But for the most part, I think he was probably one of the best human beings we've had as president since I've been alive. And actually, if I had a chance to vote for him again, I'd probably consider it. But anyways, I don't vote party. I vote the politician. And if you come across as a intelligent person who has the best interest of our country and its people, as your main motivation for being president, then I'm going to vote for you. And that goes for anybody. That goes for any politician. Like, I don't know if you know this, but our local representative here in Southern California is Raul Ruiz, and he's also somebody that gets it. Matter of fact, he's been driving the same car for years and won't take a government car. He also flies coach instead of first class. So to me, that's somebody who gets what a politician should be. But anyways, long story short, I could go on forever, as I think I can with most of my videos. So I'm going to end it here. I want you to, so I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate you listening to what burns my ass. And in some cases, I hope it burns your ass too, because I think it should. And I hope that people who will learn from me that whether you're pro-Democrat or pro-Republican, you should try to listen to both sides, because you can't just listen to MSDNC and you can't listen to just Fox. There are many organizations in between. My big problem with news organizations, that's one thing that Donald Trump did bring to the forefront in our country, is news organizations are way entirely too biased. Years ago in the 70s and early 80s, news reporters reported the news. They didn't put their commentary, and they tried their best not to imply their beliefs into the story. They just reported the facts. I personally think we need to go back to that. I think MSDNC should even be called a news channel. And some cases, I think Fox should neither. I know people are going to hate me for saying that. I think Fox is a little more honest than MSDNC, but they both do lie. And they do both exaggerate things to their political persuasions that they're leaning towards. And I think that's wrong. I think a news channel should be a news channel. It shouldn't be biased one way or the other. But, hey, I can't change the world. I can only point it out to you and my listeners and hope that it makes a difference. Anyways, I appreciate listening to What Burns My Ass. And I hope you like and subscribe. And I appreciate everybody that's listening. And please watch again soon. Thank you.